these particular male deities. Meanwhile, when he creates and disturbs the uncreated, the wholeness of the uncreated, as it talks about in the Rig Veda. Meanwhile, when he disturbs this, the Great Mother immediately sends her son Rudra. Now, Rudra is the star Sirius, based on the book. This particular book, I prefer this one because this one is an excellent book, the book Ka, because now when you get the book is really a beautiful cover. This is like a uncorrected proof that came to the paper, but because it has a good glossary in the back. But Rudra is the star system Sirius, and he comes down to avenge the mother, to fight against this particular father deity, the Father. Now it's interesting that in all of the older scriptures, the Father, in the older ones, the Father is always this asshole that came down and created this damn shit here and botched the job when he did it. You see what I'm saying? Go get the movie, did I mention that the last time, the movie Time Bandits? Did I mention that the last time? And I told you that the little short little midgets they got in there is the Twa. And he said that they created it. He said, well, we only had 7 days to create the universe, but it was imperfect because this asshole didn't know what the shit he was doing and he botched the job. And so he left these portholes in the universe, but he was paying the little Twa people peanuts and shit. And they got mad and they said, you really are pimping us. So basically they stole this map of the universe where they had the portholes and they were going through time stealing all the damn gold on the earth and different things at different times. And all right. But it was interesting, they had the people on the dark side, they said, no, we want to get the map because we want to create a person in our image. That's us. The dark side. That's Osiris and them in the underworld. It's always, you see them as evil or whatever the deal is and all. But anyway, so Rudra comes down, and when he catches up with this Pasajani or Brahma or Indra, he's getting ready to kill him. But this asshole begs for his life. And begs Rudra, which is the form of the Great Mother, which is the son of the mother, he begs Rudra to save his life. So what Rudra does in so many words, Rudra spares his life. So what happens is Rudra, in order to clean up this particular infringement against the uncreated, he has to incarnate down here into this particular cycle. And in so many words, when he incarnates down here, he becomes the fallen one. And he incarnates down here, because remember in the movie The Matrix, well, how did he have to kill the program, the agent? How did he kill him? He went inside of him. Remember he went inside of him? And that's how he was able to kill him. So Rudra falls down and becomes in a cycle of incarnations until his last cycle, Siva. He comes back as Siva. But when he comes into it, and he said, well, I can kill, because even though there was an uncreated, there had to be a flaw in it, because this flaw created this botched up job down here, which is a series of illusions, then started trapping souls in here, and that's how we got here. So the Rudra comes down, and he said, well, I got to become a part of the creation and go through this cycle to clean it up. So as a result, he comes down, but it's interesting because there's a section in here which is bearing witness to it. This is not just mythology anymore. We are literally on the verge of something beautiful for the mere fact that the actual Discover magazine that the nigga stole in Detroit last week, stole my shit right on the desk. The Discover magazine in November told you that the earth is in the middle of a black hole. Well, one of the ways that Rudra comes down and destroys everything is he literally turns into a black hole and he sucks up Pastor Johnny's creation, which destroys the matrix and break it up into pure light, and that's rescuing you from the doggone matrix. Because they say that the black hole sucks everything in, and what comes out on the other side is pure particles of light. So the black hole literally busts up this damn matrix and grinds everything that is not of the original back into it. So therefore, you come out seeing. I was blind and now I can see. So Rudra literally turns into a black hole. So for the mere fact that you're seeing that black hole out there, you're literally seeing this Rudra. Now let me read you some of the text on this Rudra. Rudra lets fly his arrow against the Father, who is engaged in a procreative creative consuming fire. That's on page 40 in the presence of Siva. This particular book by Stella, K-R-A-M-R-I-S-C-H. Kramrisch, or Kramrisch, K-R-A-M-R-I-S-C-H. Stella Kramrisch, the presence of Siva. Rudra is the hunter, and the antelope is also known as Sirius. The father played a precarious role. The father begged Rudra to spare his life and made Rudra lord of animals, which equals man. So literally, he made Rudra the god over man, because also the physical body is also called the animal. If you talk about the spiritual realm, they said that the physical realm is also called the animal realm. So Rudra was made the lord of the realm. So also this is in the text is also telling you that he's one of the most high. Then he comes down here and he's later on made the lord of the animals, which means he's actually made into this physical substance, is what the text is actually talking about here. Now, hold on 1 minute to get this. The Father, which is also called Demiurge, had broken the state of wholeness that existed before the fall of the seed. This state is beyond words. It is the indescribable and the inaccessible to the senses, the physical senses. It is neither non-being nor being. This is all what they're talking about, this great pre-existent matter that you now call darkness, Satan, and prime evil, which is called Zion. Remember he told them that if we have a party, Zion is the last damn place we will be. Well, the gates of Zion is also in Gershom Schroeder's book, The Kabbalah and its Symbolism. The gates of Zion, in so many words, is the damn pineal pituitary body. The gates of Zion is what this particular thing is. Rudra is the god of darkness. Now, in here, in the page 79 of this particular book, well, they say, well, Rudra is the god of darkness. So I started reading this type of thing because the whole key is that the whole Christian world is telling you to turn from the prince of darkness. And it says that, and it goes on in here, and in so many words, it's a lot of stuff, but in so many words, what it ends up being, this god of darkness, is the form of a black hole. Now remember now, because this is a holographic matrix out here that doesn't exist, then that black hole has to be where? Inside of you. And that is the Rudra. So if the white boys is already giving you, in science, this black hole that is out in space. They told you that in November of this year. Finally, that we feel that the earth is in the middle of a black hole, then we know that that black hole has to be in us, and that's what it's talking about in here when it's talking about Rudra. Now, in the book called The Parallel Myth, there's a whole apocalypse. They got the Persian apocalypse. If you read the Persian apocalypse, you'll know what Jeremiah said was right when he said that the whole apocalypse in the Bible came from Persia. Well, the Persians got it out of Egypt when Cambyses raided the temples. But when you read the Persian apocalypse in the book Parallel Mythology, you can find that in most bookstores. You can literally see how they basically just changed it up a little, but it's almost damn near identical. But they also have how Rudra destroys the earth. Now, how Rudra destroys the earth. So in so many words, they say that Rudra, how he destroys the earth, is Rudra draws up all the water from the earth. So this is mythological, that water is also representing the carbon forms of what they call the force in Star Wars. And basically he draws up all the water from the earth, and once the water becomes in heaven, becomes a whirlpool, that water itself will suck everything up in the earth, and the earth gets sucked into this particular void, or this particular vortex. You see what I'm saying? That's in the parallel myths where they literally break down this particular mythology and give you a summary version of what's going on. This is the complete one in here. But it is interesting because the creation is an act of violence that infringes upon the uncreated. The undifferentiated wholeness, this is the beginning of all things. Now, it also goes on and says that, it also goes on and talks about in this particular book some gods called the Asuras. Now, remember I told you the word Osar or Asur, which is the name of Osiris. Well, it's interesting because by the time you get to over in the Hindu asuras, but they say that the asuras are demons, or fallen ones. Now it's interesting, but when you read the text, they say that it's interesting. They say that the asuras are peaceful, loving, honest, and well-mannered beings that have fallen. So they got to be talking about us. Then they go on and say, well, what happened was is the stuff. They say, well, they're just fallen beings. Well, they're just talking about somebody that's transferred from one end of the planet, one end of the cosmos to the other. In this particular case, in metaphysical sense, it's talking about one that got trapped in the physical body and thinking he came from a long way. Which in actuality, he's in the same damn place he was before. Now, it's interesting because the people that bought the Titan book, there's going to be a diagram in the first book of the Titan 1 where they'll show the beginning. They'll show chaos, and then they'll show Gaia, which is the goddamn earth. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And I said this the last time. That means that the earth was here in the beginning. Before there was anything, the earth was here. That's what the dogma said. The dogma said before there was anything existed, Sirius existed. And also, but we come to find out, but in the Greek mythology, they say before anything exists, you had chaos, which is the uncreate, or the triple blackness of space, and the next thing you get is Gaia, the earth. So Gaia, now that means now the earth was always in the cosmos. What we call the creation is the covering over of the physical earth. So what we call the spiritual earth was always here in the beginning. That's the form of the great mother. You see what I'm saying? That's why in the Kabbalah she becomes the fallen daughter. But if you look at the spear on the Baal, which is the Kabbalah, you'll see the tree of life, and you'll see at the bottom, which is supposed to be earth, it has the fallen daughter. That means that the great mother was transferred. So in the Greek mythology, you got Gaia was in the beginning. Before there was anything, there was God, the earth. And then the earth was later on fell, which means that the physical, it was trapped into a physical matrix. You see what I'm saying? Or as they say in the Hindu thing, there was a whole sphere of Maya put around the planet. And Maya means illusion. You see what I'm saying? Illusion. So the earth was always here. So in so many words, these particular asuras were the original, in this book it said the original gods of the universe were called the asuras. But you get the word asar, you get the word ahura in the Zoroastrian mythology in Persia, and you get the word Ahura Mazda, and you get Chief Ahura on Star Trek, which will happen to be a black woman. You see what I'm saying? But all that is Osiris, Asura. You get the word Sarah, which you see the fraternities talking about. You see the sororities. The Sarah is coming from Asura. Asura. And you get in the Quran, you get what? The Surah. 14 Surah, 15 Surah. You understand what I'm saying? All of this, but in the Vedic mythology, which is Sanskrit, which is very old, which is Dravidian, or what they call Indus Kush, which is talking about an Ethiopian, Indus Kush, which is Ethiopian and Indian line that came from Ethiopia. In here, they say that the Surahs were in the beginning before all the other ones, but the Surahs fell to earth and became demons. But the demons was peace-loving, trustworthy, and they had a great outlook. But here come the gods. They were supposed to divide the land up between the gods, and the gods shitted them out of their land. And in so many words, I think that there was different dimensions within this universe that we were supposed to occupy, but the gods came in and shitted them out of the land. And I think in so many words, the gods put us in the physical body, so therefore we could not ascend to those particular dimensions because we had the physical body. And the physical body is also subject to a physical world, is subject to gravity, if you talk about the physical realm. But in so many words, it's subject to illusion. So because of the illusions, these particular asuras could not get the full aspect of the creation. Although it's the creation of the Father, we still is greater than being in the physical body. Even in the whole context of the universe in which this Father created, it still wouldn't be such a bad place to play around with if you didn't have to shit, piss, and eat. And worry about dishing out a living. You're putting rocks together and wood and stuff together. You see what I'm saying? For fire and all kind of dumb stuff. Then you see. You understand where I'm coming from? What's that? Is that like time up? Or whatever. But anyway, so what happened was that because we was in these physical bodies, the asuras was not able to get the full aspect of this universe. And the gods cheated them out of that, so in so many years, they became hostile, which is talking about us. It's very interesting on that. The last part on this particular part based on that is this. In the last realm of Rudra, which is this particular mythology in this particular book, the presence of Siva, Rudra becomes Siva. And Siva and Rudra, Siva is the manifestation of Rudra or the Christ. Rudra is the avenger, Siva is the destroyer. Now, this is what's going on now. They both rise as Satanu, Set Anubis, or the phallus, or a pillar, or the pineal upright phallus that shoots the semen to the brain. So basically, in so many words, in the last and final incarnation, Rudra, which used to be the star system Sirius, becomes Siva as the pineal gland, which is in both male and female. And both rising as a pillar that shoots semen to the brain. Setanu is the ascetic rises into a impreme, whatever that means, between Rudra and Set, which is talking about a pillar, the avenger, and Siva the destroyer. And they say that Satanus, which is this pillar, is emotionally shaped, which has only one direction, upward, and the self-contained shape held within itself, and the power left the withdrawal from it, and within itself. I'm just reading out of the text. It restores the unspent integrity that was in the beginning of things. So in so many words, standing in the creation here, and now he is destroyed. No, he is beyond creation. Let me get this right. And at the end of the eon, Siva will destroy the cosmos and absorb it back into himself. The undifferentiated darkness of cosmic light that is called the reflex of the uncreated. Henceforth, Setanu becomes the name Rudra Siva in the name of the great God, and will act as the motionless pillar, the pineal gland. So in so many words, I'm reading out of this text. In so many words, what they're saying, what he's going to do is, this pineal gland in us is going to basically, in so many words, suck everything back up into the uncreated. And that is the New Jerusalem, or the new existence. That's why even when you saw the Zion was in the deepest core of the underworld. So that's called the deepest core of the subconscious. So that's why you see your boys and them, George Lucas got to tell you to turn from the dark side. Because now we're talking about, in so many words, over and over again, that particular side is the true side. Now, going into this particular part, if you want to read more on the Osiris thing, because if you read the Osirian drama, he gets killed, he gets put back together by Isis, and he ascends into a mentor of the underworld and basically become the judge of the dead, but you don't really get a lot on him. That's because a lot of the information the Europeans, they keep, and they don't really let get out. So if you want to get some other stuff on the insights of Osiris, you got to go read the Greek Dionysus. This is a book by Dionysus by Robert D. Palmer. That's translated by Robert B. Palmer. The guy is called Walter F. Otto, O-T-T-O. And this was the guy. But it's interesting, because I'm going to get the paper on this, but I want to show you some things on this Dionysus thing.
The name of that one?
It's called Dionysus. D-O-D-I-O-N-Y-S-U-S. Dionysus or Dionysus. Dionysus or Dionysus. And Dionysus is in actuality another form of Osiris. If you want to learn more about Osiris, get the Dionysus myth. The Dionysus mystery. The Dionysus is the missing pages of Osiris. It is the symbol of a mask, which no human, which is not human, is cloaked. Now, because no human can deal with this, so in so many words, when they talk about the mask is the physical body that you have here. It's called the mask. It is a mask because when you really look at what you truly are, you wouldn't be able to understand it in human concepts. So now, what I'm saying here is this. These gods, prior to becoming human, they were a bunch of monstrous demon demonic type things called the Demogorgon, which in actuality is the energy sent to be the Christ energy to bring harmony to the universe. As we fell into the human phase, we had to make it human looking, and we had to water this particular advanced energy down into a human existence. So as a result, it becomes a little old wimpy Christ or whatever type thing. So you're looking for some damn man to come back. You understand? Meanwhile, the governments around the world is telling you to turn against any monstrous form. And now they're talking about this alien thing. We're going to get on to in a few minutes. You see what I'm saying? But in so many words, before it was watered down to a humanistic Christ form, it was these whole monster-looking thing called the Demogorgon, or whatever the deal is. So that's called the mask of Osiris. Osiris is that Godzilla you saw. You see what I'm saying? Or that alien you saw, alien resurrection and all. They got all that stuff that came back out. They celebrating the 20 years of the alien movies and stuff. You see what I'm saying? So they got a box set that came out this week. That's what this thing is somewhat like. It might not be in the physical, but that's what it's like. So in actuality, when they talk about the mass, they're talking about over the thousands of years we had to water this thing down to look human so we can deal with what's coming. But the Christian community is telling you to go against what's coming, and what's coming is your own soul. So in the Gnostic scripture, they say, don't even call these particular ones that's coming back God. That's not fitting. They are chaos beings, and they are higher than gods. Now, let's go on. So Dionysus is the missing pages of Osiris. The symbol of the mask is but a cloak. It is something to deal with the human aspect of this particular god. So in all the monster movies, in all of the so-called movies where you see the face of evil, even the little Buffy ass battling with them, that ain't nothing but you. It's called the monster of soul. And the whole world, in all religions, is pit against this thing coming back, which the Jesus aspect or the Christ aspect, and now all y'all run around some dreadlock motherfucker, oh, he the Christ. That ain't shit. That's only a mask. So you get your books, The Mask of Cthulhu by August Derleth. By August Derleth. The Mask of Cthulhu. Let me see what. The Cthulhu Mythos, or The Mask of Cthulhu by August Derleth. You get a little paperback. There's one called one of the paperbacks. Let's see. What we're trying to do is we're trying to teach another stuff to get ready for what's coming down, because that's the real deal, the stuff that is hidden. So one of the books is called The Trail of Cthulhu, and the other one is called The Mask of Cthulhu. You can get both little paperbacks and all right. And this is the one that came out by Barnes and Noble, but it's interesting. It says, the world where monsters walk the wind and prowl the caverns beneath the surface. So go back and get the movie Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night. And they said, they said in the movie, well, before man was here, demons walked the earth. That's nothing but you in your pre-human phase. You see what I'm saying? Your pre-human phase. So in Christian iconology, you will see a dragon, and it'll have different heads of the beast, and one of the heads will be man. You understand what I'm saying? The head of the beast that's a man is when the particular beast fell into the physical and got wounded. When the head healed, it became the face of a man. The head of the face of the man is up under the man's head, which is the pineal gland. The other demons is the actual energy that the pineal gland brings to manifestation. So you see some of these Christian iconology, especially in the Ezekiel's Merkaba mystery. You'll see several heads of beasts. You'll see several heads of beasts, but one of the heads is the head of a man. You understand what I'm saying? But the head of the man also represents that he too was also this particular beast. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, which is carbon, which is melanin, but also the Sphinx, which is on the earth. But you'll see the head of the man, which is also talking about, the head of the man is also talking about the face of God, and the great face of God is always the pineal gland. So, the world where monsters walk on the wind and prowl the caverns beneath the earth's surface, and where beings were not bound by the limits of space and time, and used this planet for their playground. That is nothing but us. Before we fell where history as we know it proves a myth contrived to protect our sanity. So in so many words, what we truly are is what you see when you see these particular demonic figures, and you see them in the movie In the Mouth of Madness, and you see it in all the movies where they go and fight against these evil. They're saying that the mythology actually was put here in human skies or mask to protect our sanity. Where humans discover that their own pursuits of the unknown, that they are themselves pursued by nameless horrors. So in actuality, when man starts to look for his soul, when he finds his soul, he's thinking he's looking at the devil because he's so removed into the matrix of what he really looks like, because he has this illusion until he's scared of his own soul. So here comes theology to come in and tell you, that's the damn devil. And you need to stick with that because they got a bunch of instances up here that don't want your ass to rise. Now, so Dionysus is the symbol of the mask. He is and he's also you'll see in there, he also presides in the world of the bewitched, which is the underworld or the subconscious. He is a mad god that drives you mad. Well, they call him a mad god. He's a mad god because once you find out, now Dionysus is the Christ. So once you really find out what this is, about like the mummy, you saw in the movie and shit, when he really got going. You see what I'm saying? So Dionysus is the mad god because when you come in contact with him, you go mad because the simple fact you're still looking for a human existence. And your true self is these monstrous beings. You see what I'm saying? Dionysus is the element of moisture. This is all in the Dionysus mystery. So the moisture also represents that you need that water. And dehydration is the number one key of the government trying to keep you down. It's no water. You see what I'm saying? That's why our bill plays on everything, because alcohol is dehydration too. You see what I'm saying? Dionysus will also interact closely with women. So if you see Osiris, you'll also see him. He'll have Nephthys on one side and he'll have Isis on the other side. Why is he interacting closely with women? Because they understand that he is from the great mother, and the woman down here is the only manifestation of the divine. You see, Dionysus is the god of strange drink and wine, which is also talking about, on the other hand, intoxication. Also, which is also talking about hallucination. It's talking about melanin also too, is what it's talking about. Now, let's get into this particular part here, based on this particular death matrix, or what's going on here. Let's get into this particular science. Okay. It's called life in death. Death is actually an entity. The knowledge of death in the book of the law, which is given to you by Awas or Rahir Rupahudi in 1904, it says to know me is to know the knowledge of death. Death is on the tree of life, and it's interesting. The brother bought me a tree of life here. Well, it's different ones, but death on the tree of life would actually be this particular sphere called Death Adah on the tree of life. Now, as you know, this particular tree of life, we've showed it many times on the temple of Komonbo in Hemmitt. And before it was Hebrew, it was actually Kemetic, or even goes even back further than that, and all. But this particular death realm, Adah, is on the tree of life. Adah and death. That's why they had to kill this Darth Maul person. Darth Vader, then there's Darth Maul. This is Darth right here, which is also the death spirit. So when you rise up, this is the spirit you get to. But as we go on, the cycles of the earth is also rising up too. So even though you might have a physical death, the realm that we are on, there's a realm that when we get to that particular realm is also called a death realm. Now let me explain this to you. That's why they had to lock up Dr. Kavarkian, but let me explain this to you. This particular cycle that we are in is a cycle that existed, and they came in USA Today last week, a week before last, and said, oh, we calculated the origin of the universe, and it's about 13 billion years. Well, number one, we have been on the planet 13 billion years. We might have not been in the physical form of 13 billion years. And maybe that we've been only in the physical 6,000 years, as the Bible says, been into the physical realm. But we have been on the planet, like they say, we use this planet as a playground, 13 billion years. Based on even when they talk about when they calculated the amount of time that this particular universe, which is a universe that is barricaded off from the greater universe, which is the Great Mother. So this particular universe has been in existence about 13 billion years. So that particular cycle of 13 billion years, when the prior universe was broken down and the substance was used to make this universe and trap us in it, that particular universe became what is called the death realm. That means that the light was extinguished and it became the dark world, and death and darkness. Then this particular universe became the life realm because it had a life and a life extension of about 13 billion years. Okay? Now, if this particular universe is extinguishing, it's in its twilight period, and it's diminishing rapidly, then that's what you call death is actually life, because that particular part, as this particular cycle dies, then the particular realm of death is the entity that is now regenerated to come on again. You understand what I'm saying? So in so many words, the aspect of what we call death, when you used to die in the cycle when it was young, you even get trapped back in a reincarnation cycle based on a certain entities when you go towards the light. And that light be there trapped. Now the other part you would remain in the underworld, but it was somewhat like the realm that you saw in the Matrix, where it was kind of dismal and real dreary and stuff, you know, that other side. And they had to eat all this stuff to survive and all. But I like our existence here too. You can see this in the physical world where you in Buckhead, that motherfucker sweet. As soon as you pass 20 and go in this area here, a whole other dimension change. Like I said, old beat up old fucking cars and shit. Chevrolet Impalas and damn Buick Regals, 1980 and shit with no windows on. You know, it's horrible. You know what I'm saying? Two existence and shit, you know. And it's another energy. The energy changes as soon as you get over here. You see what I'm saying? So all those white people over there, remember that they got all our architecture over there, the pyramids and shit on the buildings. It's cool. You go to Buckhead and all that shit is flat.
Another world.
It's in another world. It's nice and peaceful and easy going and shit. All of that, white people up in there, but we're talking about the energy based on the architecture. You come over here and shit, man, hell, you be ready to saw your goddamn leg off. You know what I'm saying? It's all kind of crazy shit. You might see somebody, you know what I'm saying? In a fucking damn lime green suit and shit. You know? And just all kind of crazy stuff, you know what I'm saying? But so we even see parts of that in the physical world. So now going back to what I'm saying, this particular realm that we call the death realm is in actuality, it's like if the light is getting ready to blow out in this room. A few minutes before the filament in that bulb pops. The other room is the other room. There's a switch in the other room that's about to come on. That is about to come on. So in the Necronomicon mythology, they talk about, well, you got these other gods that came into being, these younger gods, and they had a life cycle. And they're about to go to sleep, and once they go to sleep, the other realm will take over. So the death realm that they're talking about is that particular realm. Let me get into some science on this particular part here. Two sides of life and death. All the life on this realm is used up. The death that we're talking about is the light in the other room. Now, there's a book that I want you to try to get. I don't know how you're going to get it, but let's put it this way. Because the book is in print, the name of the book is called Our Name is Melancholy by Leela Wendell. And it's called The Complete Books of Azrael. Our name is Melancholy. So you see the angel of death. That particular angel of death, you saw it in the movie Meet Joe Black. I told you Brad Pitt was playing the angel of death. That angel of death is Osiris. Well, so Azrael and Azazel, all that's the same thing. This particular book, our book, Melancholy, is a channel book, which means that they came to this particular person in the early 80s because they wanted to give them a sense of what the death thing was. And she chronicled it and put it in this particular book. 1795 softback, 24.95 hardcover. So this is one also too. And basically you can just go to wherever, Barnes and Nobles or Barnes. It is in print, so it won't be no problem getting it. You see what I'm saying? But it gives you a sense of what they're trying to say based on this death. She said, oh, so you are an entity. Just like I told you how in the X-Files the water came alive and it was an entity. Death is an entity that is a reserved energy. That is the backup tank that's supposed to cut on when the other fuel, you know they say this plane got two tanks of fuel, and if one fuel get run out, the backup tank will come on. Or you ever see the ship where they got the lights, and then they got the reserve lights that come on after the other lights go out? Well, this is what we're talking about in the concept of the universe. This universe is deteriorating, and it's getting ready to go out, and there's a reserve light that's going to come on. So what we're also talking about is too. Just as there's the universe, there's a death realm, which is called the dark side, the outer limits, the amenta, and all that. If this is a hologram, that means that the universe we're talking about is on the inside of you. So this is what we're saying is this. You have the capacity to die also, but what we're talking about is this particular time, the particular part that we call death is literally going to come alive within you. And once it come alive within you, in actuality, what it's going to literally do, your body is just going to just suck up in it. So it's literally, when this thing comes on, this particular death realm, which is actually an entity, that's what the Osirian thing is, which is literally your soul. Literally what it's going to do is it's going to suck the other aspect of you. This particular matrix is going to be sucked up in it. It's going to be sucked up in it. Let me give you some more stuff on this particular death. Death is identified as the ultimate evil. Now this is also coming out of the Rig Veda. Now this is interesting. Death is identified as the ultimate evil. It says that, let me get this particular quote over here, let's see, right here. Mara is the pure evil in some Rig Veda texts, which you also get the word Ma, and it's interesting, you get the word Ma, which means feminine mother, and you get the word Ra, which anytime you put Ra together, it just means light. Mara, which is like Ha-Ma-Ku. It's also talking about like mother and son, which is also a form of the Christ. Life is known as the matrix. And if death is the ultimate enemy of life, then death is the ultimate enemy of the matrix, of the illusion. Death is regarded as a demon, a natural enemy of the immortal God, which is the particular ones that is over us at this particular time. For the matrix, death is inevitable. For the solar realm of the day gods, is dying. And if death is a kind of, if death kills it, then death as we know it is the New Jerusalem if it kills what you call life, and life is actually a matrix. So in so many words, what you call death, if death kills this particular part that you call life, let's say you got life and life is an illusion, and then the life dies, but in the older side, you just come back in this shit again. But let's say ultimately, in the end all and be all, if all of life has to die, which all the Bible and every text tells you, you got to share the physical body, which is also a form of the matrix, and that particular life dies, then what you're actually talking about, when you talk about this particular life dying, you are actually talking about the part that kills life has got to be the good part, or it's also got to be the solution, the end solution to ending the matrix. And so that's what this death is. This death is a kind of entity, is what this particular thing is. And so in so many words, when you see them always trying to do away with this whole death thing, or all this type of stuff here, in so many words, with the dark side, all this, that's what they're talking about. Now I got to get into this particular part right now, and I'm hoping that the motherfuckers just steal my book up there. You know, man. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I was getting scared. But I want to get into this particular part right here on this extraterrestrial thing right here, which is very key. Bear with me when I get these notes. You got to hear this thing. because you got to hear this thing on this extraterrestrial thing. What time is it?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay, we still doing good. We still doing good. See, a lot of times, yeah. In the book, The Mysteries of Elric. Elric is a doomed albino, as it says. And Elric in the particular Mysteries of Elric, which is a character created by Michael Moorcock, it tells you that Elric is the emperor of Melniboné. And Melniboné is supposed to be a place like Atlantis, but it's interesting, it's called Melniboné. But I had to go back and pick this up again because it's interesting what they said about Elric. They said that Elric has is faced with having to destroy all which he loves. He has to destroy Melniboné, but he works for the forces of chaos. Now what do they mean by that? They mean that he has to destroy Melniboné because he understands that Melniboné of the ancient empire has deteriorated, and in actuality it is holding man back. It was only supposed to be an incubation period or a cocoon stage. So now here comes Elric, the particular hero, and he is faced to destroy all that he loves. So in so many ways, that's also talking about you developing a hatred for life there is. Remember, you go back to the Matrix and he said, how many times you ever thought that there was something wrong with the world? Remember that? He said, you always thought that there was something wrong with the world, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. You understand what I'm saying? You couldn't quite put your finger on it. So I want to get into this extraterrestrial thing because I want you to try to deal with certain things. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Let me line this up. This last little piece, and we're gonna go into an elaborate question and answer. Okay. Right. So and so. Hold on 1 minute. Let me get this right thing. Okay. Here it is. Number one is dealing with this extraterrestrial thing. Now, they have been telling you in so many words, and they showed you on the X-Files that the black man are the Greys. And there's the UFO groups around the world that is calling the enemy the reptilian. Well, we explained that before, that the reptilian means the original Kundalini race, and we are the reptilians, which is the code word for just the Kundalini energy and not no reptilian lizard people and all that shit. You got to break down all that foolishness. But they also literally go and identify the enemy as the Draconians. You see what I'm saying? And remember when I looked up on the internet, they say Draconian strike, the enemy of the world is the Draconians, and then they show the same spaceship in Independence Day. And I say, you know, it's interesting that Independence Day came on and they never told you where they were from. But it's interesting because the same people made that, put out a lot of this stuff on the internet, and then they showed who the Draconians was. And the closest thing we got to is when Will Smith pulled and said, get your dreadlock ass or whatever and all this kind of thing here. But they'll talk about the Draconians. But I just told you before that the Draconians is nothing but Alpha Draconis, or the children of the Great Mother, which there was a Draconian dynasty before in pre-dynastic Egypt. Well, if it's not a Draconian dynasty, why is it that the white boy uses the word all the time as part of his English language? Your ideas are so fucking draconian. You know what I'm saying? So there's a Draconian dynasty. So the reptilians in the new word is draconian, which is also talking about the Typhonians or the snake people. So get the book, The Return of the Ancient, it's called The Return of the Ancient Serpent of Wisdom. The Return of the Ancient Serpent of Wisdom. That's the book you want because they deal, some of this Typhonian information, they deal with it in that particular book. But it's interesting that why would he put this in the back of the book? Because his last chapter in the book is he shows America, and he talks about America's secret destiny. In so many words, he says that the particular snake people, it was supposed to rise up in America. In his book, The Return of the Ancient Serpent of Wisdom. That's talking about you. Now remember I told you about Mark Ballard's book, The Sign of the Serpent? And he said that they did the conference in 1986, and they found out that the serpent, the age-old serpent that used to be in man and the earth, had been lying dormant for centuries, is now resurging. And that was in 1986. Now, it's interesting because now, all of a sudden, they done fused all this stuff into the UFO thing, and they're talking about you. You see what I'm saying? So the snake people are what you call the Uraeus people, which is the third eye. That's all they're talking about. You see, top of the caduceus and the staff is the third eye. Now, the rising invasion of the reptilians is the Kundalini energy. The serpent power invading the body. The fleets of ships are chakras, or wheels of light that is seen in the Goetia. Now remember I told you in the third eye, remember I told you that they call the demons of Goetia, and I've been talking about this for about a year and all, but I showed you these particular seals, and we discussed these particular seals have, which they showed these particular seals in the moving lawnmower band. When the guy tapped into the particular science, they showed these seals. Now I need to get my damn Altoids. You think the white man for a good invention like a motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? But and they showed these seals, but these particular seals, and in the particular book, even Alistair Crowley said, well, these seals are inside of the third eye. You got 7 major chakras, but when you get to the third eye, you got 72 seals, and 72 seals sits over in a legion of 30 legions, but each legion is of 10,000, so we're talking about at least 10 million entities within inside of the third eye. Well, in the book of Enoch, when they talk about the watchers, I got another book called Satan in the Combat Myth, and in there they say, well, what you call the watchers in the book of Enoch, which is supposed to be these devils, Azazel, the guy praised it and said, well, they ain't talking about nothing but the damn third eye. In the book of Enoch, the devil and Azazel that they showed Denzel Washington, when the guy traced it, he said, oh, they talking about the fucking third eye. You right, the watchers. If you got a third eye watching everything within you, and it later on becomes the evil eye. You ever heard of the evil eye? That's the third eye, or the first eye. Well, Crowley in the book Goetia says, well, these seals are located in the third eye, the pineal eye, called Sirius. And Sirius is talking about the black substance, or the Akashic records. So now, in so many words, these seals or wheels are the extraterrestrial invasion that they're talking about, but these extraterrestrial invasions is inside of your ass. If this was a matrix out here that doesn't exist, an illusionary universe, then we know that the only universe there is the universe inward. So if there's an extraterrestrial invasion and you seeing all the Star Wars and all that shit, they are only talking about the stuff that's going on the inside of you. So the real true extraterrestrials is inside of you. You see? Situated in the Goetia. So, go back and read this again. So the rising of the reptilians, of the Kundalini energy, is the serpent power invading the body. So you got this particular book, Serpent Power. Serpent Power by Arthur Avalon. And so, we're just talking about the chakras. You got the major chakras, those like 7 major motherships. Or the 7 ships, but the third eye is the mothership, which contains 72 smaller ships. All this stuff is talking about an inner world. Now, so the fleet of ships are the chakras, are the wheels of light seen in the Goetia. This is the Goetia. You can get this particular book in paperback now for $16. The black man is identified as the greatest on X-File. On X-File. When you see planets from outer space, they look like lifeless barrens. They look lifeless and barren. That is because of the holographic pattern that is set inside of the brain. Not inside of the brain. And not perceiving anything. But on the real frequency, the inner planes, there are planets and terrains and that is teeming with life forms that are should we say, light forms, which are in the seals of the Goetia. Enoch, the watchers sound remarkably like extraterrestrials. This is also in your boy's book. 2 books out you need to get, because I believe he's working with them crackers. So anybody who's working with a motherfucker, they always gonna drop some shit. So get David Icke's book, And the Truth Shall Set You Free, as well as his new book called The Biggest Secret. He working with these crackers. And I told you, like I told you the last lecture, that Ann Rice was working with these crackers, and the chief deity that sets off the whole chain of the vampire world in Ann Rice mythology is the god Akasha that comes from Egypt. And Akasha is turned into a vampire by some substance called Amel, or an entity called Amel that fuses with her body and makes her immortal. So these people are literally writing these books they're working for. So to get the book, The Biggest Secret, which these crackers are buying this book up. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. The Biggest Secret, they buying it up. His other book was And the Truth Shall Set You Free and Robots Rebellion. But if you want to learn about the Matrix, in the first one, the Truth Shall Set You Free, he drops on the whole Matrix shit in the book. So get the book, he goes into detail on the Matrix thing. You see, in the Truth Shall set you free. And the other one and all. Now, he got all these instances about some blonde hair and blue eye. That's when you know he's working for somebody. But they always mix truth with falsehood. That's not our point to try to doggone follow the man. We trying to get the levels of the knowledge that the people have in these particular books. You see what I'm saying? You got to read all European material with a grain of salt. So now, the book of Enoch talks about the watchers, and they are remarkably like extraterrestrial. In esoteric senses, the watchers are the third eye, watching from the inside, the dark side. In the book of Enoch, the watchers are known as Satan or Azrael. Azrael or Azazel. There's no difference between Azrael, the book of Azrael, and the book of Azazel. The fourth dimensional manipulators, which is called the demiurge, that's the father creators that's ruling this world right now, that's ruling over their parents. Because we are the parents of those particular kids that went round wild. You know how you get old and a motherfucker kick you out of the house, put you in an old folks home, or put you in a damn room and don't feed you nothing. Might come back and slap your ass one time, but you got it. Shit like that. Same little kids, used to say mama, daddy and all. Now you old and shit, they're kicking you in the butt. Won't feed you, won't cut on the damn heat, trying to conserve energy on your ass. You in a wheelchair and all, and can't talk and all, can't holler out and stuff and all, and they might feed you all kind of shit. Might give you some gurgle baby food, some shit, That's basically how this thing is with these particular entities up here. Treating us with a heavy hand, and we are the mothers and fathers of the universe. Because in the Hermetic material, they said that the God realm was transferred to the earth. You see what I'm saying? To the earth. So, the fourth dimension created religions to control the human mind. And they sought to control this dimension. What better way to control a people and close down their minds and divide them from the truth, and to create a series of dogmatic religions. You see what I'm saying? Based on special effects. Look at the pain and misery that these particular intergenerational ignorance that has been visited upon the planet by Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and the rest. If you're not talking about the esoteric teachings of those particular ones and all, that ain't nothing but slavery. Outer space is a backdrop and a screen and a reflection of the inner space. And the Orion Nebula is giving birth to these particular millions of stars. Now, this is the point I need to get to right now, and this is the key to the shit. I was up in Detroit lecturing at the 1st of May on Easter weekend. This sister who works in the medical field, she real good friends with Richard Kane. As you know, Richard Kane wrote your books, African Origins of Biological Psychiatry on Melanin, as well as Melanin and the Key to Black Greatness or whatever. I think that's the name of the second one.
Freedom.
Key to Freedom. Anyway, this sister works with Dr. Richard Kane. So whenever I came up one time before, she came out and took me out to eat, or whatever the deal is, because she wanted to discuss some things. and all right, because this is one of these sisters that's one of these. She's one of these sisters that's a scientist. That means she picks apart all kind of shit, and she's constantly studying. And that's why we say most sisters, you need to be getting into that type of science too. You see what I'm saying? And don't let the patriarchal world shut you down where you deal with what you call domestic issues. So there's two kinds of goddesses. The goddess at the end time is supposed to reject all domestic entities, domestic issues, and become a damn scientist. So basically, you're supposed to be doing all kind of research. Even if you on the job, just noticing shit. Write it down. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, this sister, she said that she's on the job, and she says her and the white boys, they be looking at DNA. And they've noticed in the black DNA that there's thousands, or literally each day, not thousands, but hundreds of amino acids popping up on the DNA each day. Now, it's interesting because the amino acids that she's seeing in the DNA out in space, they are called the Orion Nebula. So they say they got this Orion Nebula. They came out in 95. They told you that in this Orion Nebula, they got thousands of stars being birthed. But if that's a holographic universe, then that means that the Orion Nebula, the inner universe, she's seeing this damn DNA popping up on the doggone. Now, she's seeing this amino acids popping up on the DNA, and they studying this thing every day. So there's some stuff happening to us. So the inner space, so the outer space is the backdrop and a screen and a reflection to the inner space. And the Orion Nebula is giving birth to millions of stars. You can go to any websites and look up all that stuff, and they'll show you all about these stars that's being formed. You see what I'm saying? And also planets. They were showing that planets was being formed. They went up, they came, what, 97 and said, no, we are sure now these are planets for the first time. You see, but all that's what's going on out there is what's going on inside of us. Now, you already saw the black hole. You got that particular part. Showed that in Discover magazine. Now look. But in the inner space, Orion Nebula is the DNA, and there are hundreds of amino acids forming daily. That is the same as the stars and new worlds that is shown in outer space. And these are duplicated, or these are depicted in the Goetia. In the Goetia, which is what I showed you, which is these seals. You see, which is the extraterrestrial world that X-Files is talking about. We trying to stop against an extraterrestrial invasion, but yet they show some black substance that was here before the dinosaurs that, as they say, will replace man using man as the host. As the host, that means something coming from the inside out. So, going back to this, let me give a thing. The amino acids is forming as stars. These are also depicted in the Goetia. These are the seals of 10,000 legions in Spawn. You see, the Spawn was supposed to get his legions and all, and he let the white boy talk him out of this shit and all. Which is also melanin clusters. So the sister is actually seeing this particular stuff, which is proof that they're studying the DNA. Now, the sister Pilar said that she went to a genetic conference in October, and she said it was a black geneticist say that they got just tons and tons of genetic stuff with black people that they can't even tap into it. They don't even know anything about it. Now, as you know, in other science, that's called junk DNA. You see what I'm saying? That's called junk DNA. That's what the white boy, the stuff that he don't understand, he calls that junk DNA. You see what I'm saying? In the field of science, that particular part here is the part that the sister said she saw popping up on these particular things DNA, these amino acids that's going on all the time. Now let's get into one other thing right here. In this particular book, James Hillman's book, which breaks down all the demonic stuff of what you call the dark side of the underworld. James Hillman is an advanced psychologist, and he's breaking this book called Dreams and the Underworld, which breaks it down. So he literally breaks down Hades up in here. And what it really means is talking about the deepest part of the subconscious. So this particular book here is a good psychological book, and one of the master psychologists, James Hillman, he has a lot of other books out. Now, in this particular book, when he gets into this particular part here, this is the part I want to deal with right now, is this: how this particular stuff works. I came and I told you that I found a Kabbalah recently, and the Kabbalah was actually saying that to another faction of people on the dark side, how they are able to access their inner dark side is through aggression and anger. Well, it makes sense. You got tons of religions telling you to be peaceful and nice. Well, you know what I'm saying? Peaceful and nice. In this particular book, James Hillman, when he's talking about Hercules, which is Heru, Achilles. Hercules, in this particular book, in this book, he says, in order for Hercules to get through Hades, which is also talking about the deep subconscious, but it's also talking about the physical earth, he literally has to get mad. So in so many words, there's some dormant genes in you, or some dormant energy in you that's lying dormant that comes online when you get mad. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. So in here they said he's literally, let me get the particular page here. Because it's and they deal with black up in here as a form of different parts of the different parts of the subconscious. But anyway, he got about 10 books out. They say this is his best one. But anyway, what I'm talking about based on this particular energy as what you call anger as an energy. Let me give you an example. How many people ever got in a fight? Now, we amongst black people, so that ain't no damn problem, and half the damn sisters can raise their hand too, because there's any motherfucker that whip some ass on the planet, it's the black woman. The black woman, and I happen to know because I used to get in a lot of fights when I was in like elementary school and primary school. I used to get in a lot of fights, and I used to win all the fights. But it's interesting. I used to fight often, but I only had the 3 fights that I lost was up against damn sisters. I used to fight daily. Some of the baddest Negroes in school, I was just like that, just fight. But it's interesting, the 3 fights that I lost was up against damn women. I guess, you know, all that shit there, man, just threw my game off. All I know is my ears got hot. And oh, man, but then that was just once. Then I had something literally, the body slam, all of that. I mean, all of that type stuff, man. I literally, I had a sister. I used to get in fights all day with guys. But I must have underestimated the sister. Knowing it's a black woman, she can throw like a Negro. So I go run up in there, and I remember running this, rushing this sister, and this sister hit me, and all I knew was I just was on my knees in the dust. Looking around like this. Looking around, man, I don't know what happened, but whatever she did, she hit me a certain way, so my damn knees just hauled ass. All I know is I was on the dust, and I was literally suspended in time. And the brother was laughing and stuff like that type stuff, man. It was interesting. Then I got in another fight with one of my friends, one of my boys, was getting beat up with this girl was beating us behind. So I'm gonna bust in there. I'm gonna fight her because she beating up my friend. So I jumped in there. So the other girl, I think I told you this story. She had a big old mop handle, and every time I get on top of her, she hit me across the back of the head with a mop handle, and the other girl would flip me over and beat me some more. And every time I flip over, they would flip me over and beat me some more. And then the mama came out there and said, "Get up off," and I was just laid out on the ground. And all right. But it's interesting. I think I got in a fight. I used to fight all the time with guys, but every fight I ever got into with a girl, I got my ass whipped. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make is, how many people ever got in a fight? And after the fight, somebody got to come tell you what happened when you was fighting, because you don't know shit. shoe up with my face. The fight, to me, it acted like it lasted for an hour. The moment when I got up, the nigga was like, shit, wasn't no fight. He hit you and you hit the ground or whatever. But my point is that somebody always got to tell you what's happening. So what you're dealing with here is another dimension. That's what the damn Hulk was about. He had these entities up in him, these chakras. And when he would get mad, you know what I'm saying? He would break out and he'd come into this monster. He just so happened to get mad every damn TV show. Now, I want to know how the hell he did that. I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad. I don't know how the hell he was able to do that. But the point is, they were trying to show you some metaphysical thing. You know what I'm saying and all. And that's what we're talking about here is it keeps things dormant. That's how you know you got a lot of brothers that start going to the church and all the next thing you know, and all, man, they turn gay. It's true, you know. Like that. Now, you know, because I'm saved. But my point is, you have this like that. What I have found in the Kabbalah, so this is not just stuff that I'm coming up with. What I have found in the Kabbalah, I found it in the Sufi text. I found it in the Sufi text, I found it in the Kabbalah, and I found it in a couple of other texts is that in so many words, if we call demons or Daemons hidden entities, but they also tell you in most texts that you need to calm down because the demons will take over. But if the demons is aspects of melanin, then we will understand in actuality what is. So therefore, we invite the damn white man to come because all we need is to get one good man in. And it's over. Because all the churches is telling you to go against what it is. You know the shit is fucked up. You understand what I'm saying? And we the masses is getting mad. Nigga get mad in a minute. You know what I'm saying? You be checking out and shit, you know, and all, man, you know, and you might, she tell you $19.52, you might go in your pocket with 52 cents, and motherfucker get an attitude. You know, you need to give her a 20 or whatever. My point is, we are masters at getting mad. So this is some alternative stuff that we need to look into, because I'm looking at it, and as I study more and more when they talk about this whole Daemonic thing, the whole key to keeping the whole Daemonic realm back, which these are called the demons of Goetia. So, in order to keep the demons of Goetia or the extraterrestrial realm back, when you deal with the psychological aspect of religions, they tell you that you stop the anger. That's what Yoda said, you gotta stop the anger. Now I'm looking at this stuff here, but if you go back to Return of the Jedi, the guy said, strap me down and release the anger and come on over to the dark side. You see what I'm saying? He said, no, I ain't gonna release the anger. I know there's still some good in you. That sounds like some Martin Luther King shit to me. He got a man that fucked up the whole universe. The whole universe screwed up. He got a man that took a damn laser beam and blew up a whole star. And yet you gonna talk about I know some good in you? I'll weigh you down, but that's some Martin Luther King bullshit to me. So look like these crackers have comprised the whole mentality for us to not to get to our true self. You understand what I'm saying? Not to get to our true self and all. And so basically, in these particular texts, especially some of the Sufi texts, they're talking about this particular realm that they're trying to keep by not letting you get angry. You see what I'm saying? So now they know where they can shoot a nigga in the damn foot, or you get emotional. You ain't gonna really get angry, because getting angry is going down there and burning downtown. We yet to raise downtown and he said, we'll burn our own neighborhood, but we ain't gonna put no torch to the Peachtree Plaza. You understand what I'm saying? Or somebody in there take some glass and put it all on crackers, meals in the rich car. That kind of shit. Well, we mad with a nigga, but logic come in when it come to white people. Yeah, right. Logic come in when it come to white people. And all. But in so many words, that's what I'm getting based on this particular Daemonic realm. So either the cracker. So now, the key is, okay, let's just look at the Y2K thing on this aspect. Maybe, let's just say that he's going to literally do something in August. Now, if you go back to the Matrix, right at the time when those destroyers is coming in, Right at the last part, and they show the sister bent over and kiss him. You know, kiss Neo. And then they flash to the computer, and the computer say, I know you out there, and I know you're scared. Right when they flash to the computer, you can't see it on the movie, but you know how they when you got a bootleg copy. On the movie, when you slow it down, it has 9/17 or something like that. 9/18/99. So that's August 18, 1999. So my point is this here. Let's just say that September. Let's just say that he's planning on doing so. Let's just say he just said, well, I'm just going to go and do something. I got to go for what I know. Then he ultimately knows that it's inevitable. He knows that sooner or later he got to show all that he got as the last piece of his civilization to put up against this damn fight, because he knows we're coming anyway. My point is he's focused, he does that anyway, because that's what the Sanskrit text was talking about. Remember I said that the text says, in the Kundalini of the New Age, the Sanskrit text says that there are devices that will come online when the race is upon what is when the race is confronted with annihilation. These devices, that energy, that serpent, that wormhole will come online. These Damianic images will come online. Now let's get this one thing here. Here's a book put out by State University in New York, SUNY University. Kundalini, the Energy of the Adepts, by Lillian Silburn, Silburn. It might still be in print. But it's interesting because in here, on page 228, the Kundalini is called the Ajna chakra, AJNA. Now also you want to get this particular book, Serpent Power, by Arthur Avalon. Now, it says that in the Beru, which is close to Heru, is the seat of command, the Ajna. Now the Ajna is the third eye. In this seat, which is 16 knots, which is found the nectar of the 16 lunar portions, there, that nectar, soma, or whatever. Within the collar rests the connected energy of subtle and hindered part of the tip of a hair, whatever it's talking about. Above this energy dwells the dot. That dot is called the black dot, and it's called the bindu of virile potent Viridia. If this bindu explodes and shatters, and expands immediately the forms of the mastaka, of the vara mahadra, and circular triangle fruit of the water crescent. In so many words, what they're saying here, because what this is a bunch of text. It's they get this from Sanskrit. So the point I'm trying to make out is they're talking about this particular bindu seed, which you'll get most of the information on this particular seed is in this particular book, Serpent Power, the secrets of tantric and shaktic yoga by Arthur Avalon. And in there, this bindu seed is this particular seed that is in the lower abdomen area. This particular seed is in the root chakra, or the low 8th chakra, which is in the lower abdomen area. And in that particular seed, so that this seed is guarded by a serpent. The serpent is the gastrointestinal tract. That's the serpent. You see, so if you go get the movie Jason and the Argonauts, they got the golden fleece, which is like the Christ energy, but it's on a tree at the ends of the earth. The tree is the physical body, but it's guarded by a serpent. You see what I'm saying? The serpent of the deep. So that's also talking about your lower abdominal region. And all, you see. But that particular seed will rise up, and when it rises up and comes up and gets to the seed, and it can also be prematurely rushed up by some type of fear or some type of anger. Depends on what situation you get in, where you got to go for what you know. You've been thinking you made it because you done bought some cars and shit. And that crackers will come and say, we taking back the neighborhoods and we gonna lock y'all asses up. Oh, then all of a sudden the goddamn bourgeoisie got to get off their ass and scrap something. Then they gotta hightail it back over to the West End area and shit. And get some real niggas around the liquor store. Anyway, for whatever reason this particular thing is in the primal part, the seed, when it hits into the pineal area, it's going to cause an explosion. And whatever that explosion is, everything that ain't part of the same energy will die. And apparently, so if the white boy going to come with it, he's helping us to get out of this damn misery. Because this particular seed is what they're talking about and all. Which, this particular seed based on this Sanskrit text proves one other thing that I've been saying. There couldn't have been any Christ that was the manifested Christ. We are all the Christ. But the manifested Christ couldn't have been on the earth because the earth wouldn't be here. Because when this seed hits, the earth will cease to be, at least the physical matrix part of the earth will cease to be. You see what I'm saying? Will cease to be. Now let's go into a question and answer. But it's interesting. Here's another book called The Holographic Mind by Stancis.